The Auburn Tigers entering Legion Field in Birmingham, neutral site for the annual confrontation between Auburn and Alabama. They lost their first 2 games to defending national champ Miami and to Texas. Then they reeled off 6 straight, lost to Florida, have won their last 2. So the Tigers come in 8-3 with a chance to go to the Sugar Bowl, having won 8 of 9. And here come the Crimson Tide of Alabama. 1-4 in the conference. They are trying to avoid finishing tied with Mississippi and Mississippi State for last place of all things in the SEC. They're normally on top, have been for almost 3 decades. Hello again, everyone. I'm Al Michaels, and one thing is for certain. When you watch the Sugar Bowl New Year's night here on ABC, you'll see Nebraska against the Tigers. The big question is which Tigers, the LSU Tigers or the Auburn Tigers? And certainly the LSU Tigers are watching this game with a great deal of interest in Baton Rouge today, because if Auburn wins the game, it's quite simple. Because of Florida's probation, Auburn goes to the Sugar Bowl. If they lose, they go to the Liberty Bowl. If this game winds up in a tie, the Sugar Bowl committee will decide. And it's vice versa. LSU goes to the Sugar if Auburn loses. LSU goes to the Liberty if Auburn wins. Kind of a strange game in the sense, do you realize that Alabama has not had a losing season since 1957? That right now with a mark of 4-6, not since before Bryant was there. And this is the first time in a quarter of a century that Alabama will not be going to a bowl game. On the subject of bowl games, what about the incentive for Auburn to go to the Sugar Bowl? Here's what linebacker Greg Carr says.
Well, that's a very big incentive for us. If we can beat Alabama, then we will have a berth in the Sugar Bowl. Of course, we feel that the winner of this game will certainly have an edge in recruiting in the state, as well as have bragging rights in the state. Of course, that's very important to us, for all the Auburn fans who've been through so much frustration over the past years because they never had a football team which could beat the great football teams of Coach Bryant's era.
So quite a bit of incentive, interstate rivalry and all of that. Lee Grosskopf has now joined me. It's quite obvious as we look at these teams, Lee, that Auburn has more talent, Auburn has more depth, Auburn is favored by about a touchdown. What chance do you give Alabama?
I think Alabama can win today, Al, but if that's going to happen, several things will need to occur for Alabama. First of all, they're going to have to play with more consistency on offense. They have been consistent defensively all year long. And another thing I think will have to happen is that they'll need a better effort from their special units than they have shown in recent weeks. And they're going to need to keep the ball away from Auburn, because the Tigers do have big play capabilities, particularly with the return of a healthy Bo Jackson. Now, as this graphic clearly illustrates, when Bo is healthy, he is the premier running back in all of college football and had his best day against Alabama in 1983 with a 256-yard effort, and they're going to have to stop Bo today.
You've covered all of the great rivalries in this country. What about this one? What makes it special?
Makes it special because it's the very first time that I have covered Auburn-Alabama football, and I'm pumped up and really looking forward to the game.
77,000 looking on at Legion Field. Can Auburn go to the Sugar Bowl? Can Alabama win some redemption? We'll find out. Ray Perkins is concluding his second season as head coach at Alabama. He's also the athletic director, and he's a beleaguered man right now, not having had a losing season since '57. A lot of people are all over Perkins in this state. Not so with Pat Dye, who in his 3 years at Auburn has turned that program around to the point where last year they won the Sugar Bowl and wound up 3rd in the national rankings. This year they've had a lot of injuries. They had those 2 tough losses up front, and as a consequence, their ranking is only 11th. They could conceivably, though, finish in the top 10 with a win here today and follow that up with a win against Nebraska in the Sugar Bowl. Freshman Robert McGinty of Auburn to kick off. Alabama won the toss. Alabama to receive on a gorgeous 60-degree afternoon, and it's a line drive kick on a hot field at the 4-yard line by Cedric Vaughn, out past the 20 and upended at the 32-yard line. Alabama, multiple offensive attack. That is Don Shula's son Mike, the quarterback. Paulot Carew and Ricky Moore are the running backs. Moore is the fullback. And the wideouts are Greg Richardson from Mobile and Clay Whitehurst from Nashville, Tennessee. From the 32-yard line, on the artificial playing surface at Legion Field, 1st and 10, Alabama. They've had problems with their passing game all season long. Shula and the other quarterback Sutton are both under 45%. And they start on the ground with Ricky Moore, who picks up a yard. The men who will lead the way, Thornton Chandler starts at tight end in place of Preston Gothard. Jim Ivey, 270 pounds. The tackle, Mike White's a good one, 241. Wes Neighbors, his father, Billy, was a great center at Alabama in the 50s. Bill Condon is the right guard. Gary Otten out of Huntsville, 6'6", 260-pound right tackle. Second down and 9 for the Crimson Tide from the 33-yard line. Caruth, big hole past the 45 to the 48-yard line. Paul Ott Caruth is their leading ground gainer this season.
Paul Ott Caruth, who was recruited by Bear Bryant originally as a wishbone runner, takes the ball off right tackle, makes a good cut, and Nat Caesar, number 49, makes the tackle in the secondary for Auburn. He, as you mentioned, far and away their leading and most productive ball carrier in 1984.
He's now gained exactly 700 yards this season after that 15-yard pickup, and he adds a couple of more as he gets past the 50 and into Auburn territory to the 49-yard line. A gain of about 3. Green, Duchok, Holman, and Thomas are tough. 94-91. Watch them in Daly up front. McCurdy and Greg Carr is their big man, number 54, the linebacker. The secondary is injury-riddled. They're missing David King, who has made a couple of All-America teams, but King has been out for the last 3 games. They're missing their top 3 defensive backs. Second down and 7 from the 49-yard line. Delay, Ricky Moore can't get started and gets only to the 47-yard line. Ricky Moore out of Huntsville, Alabama, is stopped by Gerald Williams. The good news for Alabama is that the Auburn secondary is injury-riddled, and they're going with backup people. The bad news is Alabama's been unable to generate any sort of a passing attack this year.
Passing has been inefficient for them, and particularly they have had a problem on third down conversions. As a result of that, as I mentioned at the top of the show, offensively they have been inconsistent.
Only 36%, as you saw, third down and 5 with Caruth going in motion. And Shula handing the ball to Moore, and again they're stopped on the third down play as Ricky is bunched up at the 45-yard line. Gerald Williams among those in on the stop.
That play indicative of the kind of season Ricky Moore has had. He had great expectations. I talked to him yesterday, frustrated and disappointed.
They had Kerry Good, who got off to a tremendous start. Those of you who saw the Alabama-Boston College telecast in September will remember Good scored 3 touchdowns and then was hurt in the third period and suffered a season-ending knee injury. So they've gone with Caruth and Moore as the men who carry the ball, and really they've been unable to generate very much. They're last in the conference in offense as Terry Sanders kicks it away and kicks it into the end zone, and the Auburn Tigers will take over at the 20-yard line. Auburn out of the wishbone. They'll go with Pat Washington. He's been injury-riddled this year. Thomas Campbell, the halfback on one side. Tommy Agee is the fullback, and the halfback in the bone on the other side is Bo Jackson. Clayton Buford is the split end, number 11. You will see a lot of different running backs for Auburn. We just showed you the starters, the men who figure to do the bulk of the ball carrying today, but they are extremely deep. They go 3 deep at every position. Jackson is number 34. He's the key man. Would have been a Heisman Trophy candidate had he not missed 6 games with a shoulder separation. Thomas Campbell, who was hit immediately at the 21-yard line. Auburn offensive line. Jeff Parks is the tight end. He's caught 14 passes this season. Then they've got Eric Floyd, a 256-pound freshman. Jeff Lott, also from the state of Georgia, right across the border from Auburn. Yan Coward is the center. Tamburello alternates with him. Randy Stokes is the right guard, and Stacy Searles is the right tackle. Freshman. There's Greg Carr in the Auburn defense on the bench as the offense works for the second down and 9, and Washington goes to the air, looks one way, throws the other, has a man open, and has a first down to Ron Middleton, the backup tight end, who takes it out to the 33-yard line. And a marker is down. Penalty flag thrown at the conclusion of the play for a face mask.
like most wishbone teams, most of the passes will be play-action passes. Washington rolls left, looks back to his right, finds his tight end, Ron Middleton, number 87, on an out pattern. You see a face mask call by Vernon Wilkinson, number 38.
5 yards. Defense. First down.
Robert Aye of the Southeastern Conference is the referee. Penalty takes it out to the 38. First and 10. Auburn Tigers, early first quarter, no score. Auburn with a victory, going to the Sugar Bowl. Pitch to Hollis Campbell to the short side, out past the 40 to the 43-yard line. Alabama defense, and they've done a pretty respectable job this year. Soule, Jarvis, and Hand up front. Hand's very good, 78. Then King and Bennett are the key men, especially Cornelius Bennett, 97, sophomore linebacker, who's already made a couple of All-America teams, so watch him. Wilkinson, Robinson, Tripoli, a good one, senior, number 23, and Cooper form the secondary. 2nd and 5 for the Tigers out of the wishbone from the 43-yard line. Jackson has yet to carry the ball, and now he gets it. Out past the 45 to the 47, just shy of the first down. Cornelius Bennett making the tackle.
Bennett, who Al talked about a moment ago, has the potential to be a future superstar in college football. Only a sophomore, but pro scouts are already comparing him to Lawrence Taylor.
And Ray Perkins, his coach, would certainly know about Lawrence Taylor, having coached the New York Giants. To the 49-yard line goes Jackson, enough for a first down as Wayne Davis, sophomore linebacker, number 58 for Alabama, makes the tackle. Story on Bo Jackson. Just to refresh you, started the year as a Heisman Trophy candidate. He's only a junior. First game was the kickoff classic in the Meadowlands. They lost there to Miami. Then he separated his shoulder in game 2 against Texas. Auburn lost both those games. Then with him out of the lineup, they won 6 in a row. He came back, made a token appearance in the Florida game. They lost there, and he's been back since. Nearly jumping offside and drawing the flag, in fact. Trey Gaines came offside, and he was flanked out wide to the right. And here's the call by Bob Aye.
Head ball foul, illegal procedure, encroachment on the offense.
Trey Gaines, the split end, number 19, has a false start.
Try to get back, but too late. Cost him 5 and bring it back to the 43-yard line. And it'll be first and 15.
Illegal procedure, encroachment offense.
Pat Washington didn't practice Monday or Tuesday because of a groin pull. He's been bothered by leg and shoulder injuries for most of the second half of the season. Back to pass on first and 15 and throws complete to the 44-yard line to Clayton Buford. Alternated that wide receiver spot. They have Gaines 19, Buford, and also Freddie Wagan when he's healthy.
Buford, one of 3 tight ends who alternate, as Al just told you, runs an out pattern. Good coverage along the sidelines, but he gets in front of Freddie Robinson, number 21, and the ball is thrown low and outside, which is exactly the way the sideline cut should be operated.
Meanwhile, Auburn is going to take a timeout after a 12-yard pickup. It is 2nd and 3 upcoming with 8:49 to play. First quarter in Birmingham. Alabama and Auburn scoreless. 9 Eastern time. Bears already wrapping up the title. Disappointing season for San Diego, but playing at home. You'll see it here on ABC, home of Super Bowl 19. Got any tickets?
You? No. No tickets. No tickets.
I just thought I'd ask. 2nd down and 3 from the 44-yard line for the Tigers of Auburn. And hit right away. Bo Jackson, met by John Hand, number 78. An all-Southeastern Conference selection is Hand at 6'7" and 267 pounds. So Bo Jackson stopped for no gain, 3rd down and a long 3.
I talked to John yesterday. He says he's weighing 275 right now. Was recruited also as a basketball player and has consistently come up with big plays for them.
Earlier you saw where Alabama was was having a good deal of difficulty converting on third down. Not necessarily so for Auburn on 3rd and 3. And the pass is complete for a first down to the 28-yard line to Trey Gaines. Cutting in over the middle, and on 3rd and 3, Auburn keeping the drive alive with a first down now at the 28.
Picture-perfect slant pattern here as Pat Washington fakes first to his fullback, sets up behind the tackle, and hits Trey Gaines on a slant cut right in front of the safety man and the linebacker. And Washington now 3 for 3, perfect in the passing department for 40 yards, 16 on that last pickup.
Impressive drive that started at the 20-yard line. Pitch it to Jackson. He turns the corner. Inside the 20, goes low to the 15-yard line. If Alabama is going to stay in this game, it's really going to be up to the defense. They cannot expect to score very much because they're last in the conference offensively. We told you about the weakness in their passing attack. And this has to be sort of dispiriting at the beginning for Alabama to know that their defense has to do its job. And here goes Auburn moving down the field very impressively.
That's a good point. We talked with Alabama and Auburn officials. Alabama felt it would be important to score first in the game. They wanted to contain Auburn early on.
From the 15-yard line, it's Jackson. Inside the 5 to the 4-yard line. They love to run that play. Rory Turner made the tackle. Blow to the right, give it back to Jackson going left, and it's 1st and goal.
Crossfire or cross-buck action. Fake to the fullback, hand back to Bo Jackson coming off the left side. Good hole there. And then you see some of the power that makes him one of the great backs possibly in the history of college football, depending on what kind of a senior year he has in 1985.
And he's a world-class sprinter as well. From the 4-yard line, straight ahead, Tommy Agee, the fullback. They like to give it to him when they get down deep. When he picks up a yard, maybe a yard and a half, it'll be close to the 3, maybe the 2.5-yard line, where it'll be 2nd down and goal.
Because of his size and speed, Bo Jackson, of course, is often compared to Herschel Walker. One of the things the pro scouts say about Bo, however, they feel that he is a more multi-dimensional runner than Herschel.
2nd down and goal. Jackson, the right halfback in this set. He takes the toss, and Jackson goes in for the score. And the Auburn Tigers go down the field 80 yards on their first drive and break out on top. Jeff Lott and Randy Stokes in the middle, leading the way that time for Bo's touchdown.
Unlike most wishbone teams that use the triple option as their base play, this is the base play for Auburn. It's the power pitch to their halfback, Bo Jackson, coming off the left side, following his blocking perfectly and going in for the touchdown.
Freshman Robert McGinty attempting the extra point. He's made 30 of 31 and make it 31 of 32 with 6:15 to go in the first quarter at Legion Field. Auburn 7, Alabama nothing. Ray Perkins, 12 and 10 in 2 seasons, formerly coached the New York Giants, and he talked about the difference in pressure between the colleges and the pros.
Well, there's no difference in pressure because I apply most all of the pressure on myself that's applied there. As far as outside pressures, you know, I apply so much on myself that I don't feel those. But as far as the differences, the major difference in college and pro ball is that college is a lot more time consuming. And it's a lot busier schedule because you've got so many other factions to attend to.
Perkins in the 2nd year of a 5-year contract. Watching his team down 7-0. Bo Jackson went in for the touchdown. That's the 4th touchdown Jackson has scored against Alabama in his 3 years. The kickoff is fielded in the end zone and will be brought back out to the 20-yard line. So Alabama trying to get something started. They picked up 1 first down the first time they had the ball. The very impressive numbers right there. 12 plays, 80 yards, 8 up a third of the quarter, and Jackson capped it.
That is the definitive Auburn drive. It's exactly the type of opening Pat Dye was hoping for.
Pat Dye coached at East Carolina, then 1 year at Wyoming, and now in his 4th season at Auburn. And boy, has the balance of power in this state shifted as Carew carries out to the 26-yard line. Think back to the 50s. Auburn had some great teams and some decent teams in the 60s as we isolate on Carr here.
Greg Carr, number 54, has already been named to the Football News All-American. You see him playing his linebacker position. He gets rid of a blocker there, then makes the tackle. And he, Al, I think, is the embodiment of what we call the scholar athlete or student athlete.
Very bright, well-spoken fellow. One of the big keys to their defense. Caruth again on the pitch. Tries to get to the 30-yard line and is just shy, I believe. Will wait for the spot as Carr meets him along with Kevin Green.
Greg Carr again in a game we covered earlier this year, Auburn, Florida. Carr had a total of 18 tackles in that game in a losing effort.
Right. Florida just really blew them out. Their offensive line that day blew Auburn away late in the game, and they won it 24-3. Talking about the balance of power in this state, and for years all you thought about when you thought about football in this state was Alabama and in particular Bear Bryant. But Dye came in. Alabama had won 9 straight. Now they've turned it around, winning the last 2 as he sneaks Shula for the first down. First down for Alabama at the 31-yard line. Mike Shula, sophomore from Miami. Son of Don, his idol was Bob Greasy. That was bigger growing up. The question this year is to who would take over as the Alabama quarterback, and even though Shula has seen a good deal of playing time, the job has not been his solely because Vince Sutton has played quite a bit as well. He's a freshman. They're really trying to still find the right combination. From the 31-yard line, this is Don McLean carrying for the first time, and he takes it to the 37. Gain of 6. It'll be second down and 4. McLean, a sparingly used back, just 14 carries in the first 10 games this season. In fact, McLean was on his way to being redshirted, but they needed some bodies and decided to go with him. From the 37, on second and 4, Auburn nearly jumping off, and in fact they do as the play is whistled dead. It was Harold Coleman, number 94, who was a little anxious. And that will give Alabama another first down. Perkins, really an impossible situation, succeeding Bear Bryant. Second year of a 5-year deal, and as we say, and it's no scoop, of course, any coach who's 4-6 after taking over for somebody like Bryant's going to feel the heat.
Defense, dead ball foul, first down.
Earlier, told you that we'd have a telephone poll going today. It's a 50-cent call, by the way. There are the numbers. If you think Brigham Young should be number 1. Yes or no, and we'll have the results for you at the end of the day, as this is just the first of 2 today coming your way. Florida State, the second half of our doubleheader. On first down, it's Peru taking it out to the 44-yard line. He stopped there by Gerald Williams.
Well, I know how I'd vote, but I think I'm a little partial because I played in the WAC conference. Of course, then it was called the Skyline Conference.
The WAC has not gotten a lot of respect over the years, even though they've played some of the more entertaining football in the country. Maybe the most entertaining brand of football through the years.
Well, it's nothing like a WAC shootout.
Yep. Second down and 9 from the 43-yard line. Back, good protection. Goes one over the middle, complete for a first down for Preston Gothard. Tight end ran a little delay. He was wide open, and it's a first down for Bama at the 45-yard line.
Watch Greg Carr, number 54, as he takes a precise pass drop, notices the tight end coming underneath, then reacts to Preston Gothard, number 86, who catches the underneath pattern from quarterback Mike Shula. He does it all.
First down for the Tide from the 45-yard line. Moore picks picks up about 7. Ricky Moore is a senior. He's been their leading ground gainer for 3 years. This year, however, trailing Caruth. Would love to play in the pros, and figures if he gets a chance to maybe play in an all-star game or two, he can impress it.
Well, prior to this season, he was projected as a high draft choice. He came into the 1984 season with 6 straight 100-yard rushing efforts.
But this year, he is really still to get on track. Second down and 3. Moore takes it inside the 35 to the 29-yard line, and Joe Namath, new husband, a grade at the University of Alabama, All-American in 1964, and as he's prone to do from time to time during the big games in Birmingham and Tuscaloosa, he'll show up.
Through passes to Ray Perkins. And Ray Perkins also caught passes from Steve Sloan and Ken Stabler.
First down, Alabama from the 29-yard line. Moore again slipping to the outside, but staying with him. Kevin Green, number 90, he slowed him up, and Art Johnson finished him off, number 40. 1:05 to go in the quarter now. 7-0. Our score here in the waning moments of the first quarter. Florida, the champions of the SEC, but going on probation. They are appealing the NCAA decision, but the SEC denying them entry to the Sugar Bowl. They'll take on Florida State. Second half of our doubleheader this afternoon. Second down and 11. A little hole opens up for Moore. He exploits it as he takes it down to the 16-yard line. Kevin Green making the tackle. And this is the type of running they expected from Ricky Moore all season long. Impressive on this drive.
Well, I talked to Ricky yesterday in Tuscaloosa when I visited the Alabama campus. And one of the things he told me was that he was really fired up for this game, and he wanted to finish out strong. He said it had been a frustrating and disappointing season for him, but he could come away with good feelings if he had a big game against Auburn.
First and 10 from the 16 on what should be the last play of the period. And Caruth is able to move down to the 10-yard line. So Alabama in the midst of a most impressive drive after Auburn had gone 80 yards, and the first period is over. And with both teams staying on the ground, it was a quick quarter. And at the end of 1, it's Auburn 7, Alabama nothing. All right, Jim. It is exactly high noon in the Central Time Zone in Birmingham. As we start the second quarter, 7-0 Auburn, but Alabama has it 2nd and 4 at the Auburn 10-yard line. This drive started at their own 20. It's Moore spinning and working his way close to a first down. As he works to the 6-yard line, Ben Thomas and Ben McCurdy making the tackle.
I told you Ricky was fired up. Coming into today's game, he had rushed for 313 yards on the season. But he wanted to have a good day today, and he's starting out hot. You mentioned this is an impressive drive for Alabama. They've had a nice mixture of running plays, and they've had one high percentage pass. Mike Shula 1 for 1.
Very, very close measurement. And a first down. Crimson Tide first and goal now at the 6-yard line. Let's take a look at the numbers through 15 minutes.
When you look at the numbers, you get a sense of how close the game is. However, and it's interesting, Alabama has dominated there in time of possession, something that they hope to do. That's kind of that's a surprise, frankly. I thought Auburn had kept the ball longer than that, but they went down pretty fast for that touchdown.
Auburn's only had the ball one series. Very impressively moving 80 yards. Alabama's had it the rest of the time, and they try to culminate it here with first and goal from the 6. Puts it to Caruth, and Moore throws the block, and Caruth scores the touchdown. Alabama, last year the scoringest team in the Southeastern Conference. This year, last in offense in the SEC, but you'd never know it by that drive.
Watch the effort by Paul Ott-Caruth as he turns the corner and runs right over number 3, Kevin Porter, right there, reaches out with the football, knowing that the ball must break the plane of the goal line in order for it to be a touchdown. Great effort by Paul Ott-Caruth.
Van Tiffin to attempt the point after. That's good. And so each team has moved from its own 20, 80 yards for a touch, and it's 7-7. Alabama 7 as Alabama gets set to kick off early in the second quarter. Matt Dye, coach at Auburn, had a chance to visit with him yesterday. Here's what he said.
I think that the big motivation here is, you know, I think that may be an added incentive, but I think the big motivation is just playing Alabama and for the state championship. That means a lot more to these kids than anything else surrounding the game, and that's the reason that this is a great football game for the fans across the country to see.
Pat Dye, who with a victory will watch his team go up against Nebraska in the Sugar Bowl. Again, if you joined us late, the situation is this. Auburn wins, they go to the Sugar. They lose, LSU goes to the Sugar Bowl. Auburn goes to the Liberty Bowl. If Auburn wins and goes to New Orleans, LSU goes to the Liberty Bowl. Terry Sanders, who's also their punter, does the kicking off, and it's taken by Fullwood. He hesitated, then comes out past the 20 to the 24. He was 2 yards in, and you think about it for just an instant. And then he brought it out, and he brings it out to the 24-yard line. Well, BYU, should they be number 1, and already we've got 27,000 some odd calls, and the Noes have it at the moment, 15,041 to 12,540. But it's very early, and a lot of people around Provo are just waking up. Still only, what, 11 o'clock in the Mountain Time Zone? First down from the 24-yard line. Washington will lay them on a 2-yard drive. Pitching it to Jackson to the short side of the field. Bo looking for some room out to the 31. Now watch Jackson run, because he was favoring that shoulder when he first got back into the lineup against Florida. We covered that game, and you can see it. Naturally, he had to be thinking about it, but they say he's running more straight up and down now. Second down, 3. Auburn ripping opponents in the second quarter this season. That is an interesting statistic, as Washington throws for Wagan. Incomplete. Freddie Wagan, freshman, and their leading receiver. It'll be third down and 3.
Another interesting thing is that this is surprisingly only the second time that Auburn has had the ball in the football game. 2 outstanding drives by both teams in the first quarter pretty much took up all the time.
Sure. Crazy aberration, though, when you look at the points in that second quarter. Auburn has scored 65 points in the first quarter, 60 in the third, 60 in the fourth, and 130 in the second. Campbell goes in motion. He takes the pitch and gets it out to the 36-yard line. Freddie Robinson making the tackle, and they convert, pick up the first out of the 36-yard line. Good looking back is Collis Campbell. Not only do they have Jackson, but people like Campbell, Tommy Eaking's done a nice job. They picked up Reggie Ware, a 238-pound freshman fullback, who I'm sure we'll see before the day is done, number 36. He was the most recruited back in the state last year. Also, Kyle Collins has seen a lot of action as well. Quite deep. Dye likes to keep the fresh backs in the game. Out to the 41 goes Bo. Gain of 5. It'll be second down and 5.
I think they work with fresh backs as well as any team in college football. They really have 5 or 6 guys who they can just run in and out, keep them fresh. No one quite as in the same category as Bo Jackson, of course, but the rest of them are very capable.
Tucker Fredrickson, when you go back over the honor roll, and Andrews and Cribbs and Brooks all played there at the same time. And now Bo Jackson takes the pitch out again and working his way out to the 42-yard line. It'll be third down about 3, and let's check in with Lynn Swan.
Thank you, Al. Joe Namath. This Alabama ball club is 4-6, but do records mean anything in this Iron Bowl?
No, they don't. You know, this is a home state rivalry. That first quarter was some of the finest football I've seen played. There was a couple of penalties, but both of these teams are really playing excellent football right now.
Ray Perkins, his old teammate. Did you have a chance to talk to the ball club before the game?
I sure did, and I'll talk to him afterwards, too, I hope.
Okay, thank you, Joe.
3rd down and 3 now from the 42-yard line. This is Fullwood carrying, and he is bunched up at the 45-yard line by Cornelius Bennett, number 97, the linebacker. Talked about him earlier. We have him isolated here. Big play.
Cornelius Bennett, number 97, the linebacker, is 6'4", 215 pounds, has 4.5 speed in the 40-yard dash. Superlative reactions as he takes on Brent Fullwood, number 22, right there.
The punt is nearly blocked, but Colbert is able to get it away, and it turns out to be a decent kick, and it will be downed inside the 10-yard line as it dies on about the 5. And that's where the Crimson Tide will begin their next drive. 51-yard kick. We have 11:10 to play in the half. Little history made here in this game. Legion Field was the site almost 3 years ago to the day. Paul Bear Bryant, coming close to wrapping up his career at that point. In his penultimate season, Lenny Patrick scored a touchdown. Alabama beat Auburn 28-17, and that was the day that Bear Bryant set a new record with his 315th career victory. He would coach one more year, then Ray Perkins took over. Ray Perkins, great receiver under Bryant. When he was an assistant coach with New England and with San Diego, head coach with the Giants, and then down to succeed the Bear. His team tied with Auburn 7-7. They have it from the 5-yard line. 1st and 10. Moore, who looked very impressive on the last drive, carries for 7 yards.
Ricky Moore, who had 33 yards in 5 carries on the aforementioned drive, picks up 7 more. That gives him 40 on the day in 6 carries. So he's making up for that disappointing season that we talked about earlier. Caruth on the earlier drive had 40 yards in 6 carries, including the touchdown.
2nd down and 3 from the 12-yard line. Moore again. Let's face it, for the Alabama partisans, the winter will be a much nicer time to spend talking with their Auburn counterparts, as they're at least able to beat Auburn, because you know the Auburn people are just going to remind Alabama partisans all winter long that they had their first losing season in 26. But if Alabama can win, that's salvaging quite a bit.
Well, like so many of the great traditional games, this really is a one-game season.
3rd down and 2 now, with Caruth going in motion. Quarterback draw, and that didn't fool anybody, as Shula is stopped back to the 10-yard line by Ben Thomas and Pat Thomas. And Alabama will be forced to kick.
Obviously, this was in Auburn's scouting report. I saw Vince Sutton run this play earlier this season against Georgia. He went 32 yards for a touchdown on it. No daylight at all that time for Mike Shula.
Terry Sanders averaging 39-2. Longest kick this year was 53 yards against Tennessee. No wind to speak of. High spiraling kick, and a fair catch called for and made at the 45-yard line by Trey Gaines. Tigers have it there. 9:02 to play in the half. And next Saturday, 5 Eastern and Pacific, 4 Central, Robin Cousins and Tyler Cranston and Ty Babylonia, Randy Gardner, JoJo Starbuck, Ken Shelley. You'll see them all. International Professional Figure Skating Championships on Wide World. The Auburn War Eagle. And Big Al, one of the Crimson Tide mascots, the elephant. 1st and 10 from the 40-yard line. There's a 5-yard penalty assessed against Auburn after the fair catch, and Pat Washington takes it out to the 43. Boston College, it's now 10-3 as Holy Cross has come up with a field goal in the second quarter. BC wrapping up the season, and Flutie on his way to New York to take the Heisman tonight. 14-0 Army. Cadets going to a bowl game this year, playing the initial Cherry Bowl against Michigan State, and Tennessee and Vanderbilt underway. 3-0 Volunteers. Washington goes it out to Campbell. Nice move to the inside to escape one tackler and all the way to the 45 and close to a first down. Thomas Campbell, 5'11" and 220. He's got some decent moves. That's his 5th catch of the year, and it's good enough for a first down at the Alabama 45-yard line.
Collis Campbell, we visited with him a few weeks ago when we covered him against Florida. We asked him if he admired anyone in particular. He said George Rogers. Where's his number?
Campbell coming into the game, second in rushing for Auburn. Brent Fullwood, who's only carried once, is number 1. Pitch to Campbell. Red shirts to greet him there, led by Bennett and Ricky Thomas. And let's get a word from Jim Lampley in New York.
All right, Alan, here's the latest on the phone poll. No, 19,610. Yes, 16,716. Calling is heavy. The phone company indicates to us that there have been many thousands of calls, which the system is not yet ready to accept. So if you're getting a busy signal, be patient. Keep trying. Back to Al Michaels in Birmingham.
Right?
The way that cougar was wagging his tail in the background, I thought maybe there was some good news.
The early returns are in. Second down, Washington going deep and overthrowing. Clayton Buford, number 11. Freddie Robinson staying right with him. It'll be third down coming up.
Well, you see some of the arm strength there as Clayton Buford, number 11, runs a deep post pattern. Washington throws the ball with a nice looping trajectory, but he's about 3 yards deep. Buford had a step on Freddie Robinson, number 21, and that ball been thrown just a little shorter. Might have had a touchdown. 4 of 6 now for Washington, 52 yards.
3rd and 9. Break the ball now with Campbell, a wing to the left side. And the pass is off the fingertips of Tommy Agee. And the Alabama defense responds after yielding a first down, forcing at Auburn Park.
This man plays wall-to-wall linebacker, does number 97, Cornelius Bennett. Look at the hit he gets on Pat Washington there, number 10. In the life of every quarterback is a blind side. That time he took it on the blind side.
Lewis Colbert standing back at the 40-yard line. Spiraling kick. Bounces at the 12 and bounces into the end zone. Now it will come to the 20-yard line with 6:51 remaining to be played in the first half. 7-7, 6:51 to play, first half. Alabama will have the ball, and let's get a word from Lynn Swan.
Al, this is the famed War Eagle of Auburn that came to the school in 1892. Young Confederate soldier brought him there in a game against Georgia. He broke loose while Auburn scored his first touchdown. I am a little nervous holding this eagle. But when he flew overhead, they won the ball game, and the cry War Eagle stuck. And that's why whenever they need some encouragement, you'll hear the fans shout, War Eagle.
All right, Swanee.
Swanee, I tell you, I can't blame you for being nervous, but think of it this way. We could be doing Colorado, and you could be standing there with a buffalo right now.
I did an interview with a buffalo once. Yeah. No more Ralphie tapes.
From the 20-yard line, 1st and 10. Alabama, and it's Caruth who gets wrestled back. Number 91, Ben Thomas, senior from Ashburn, Georgia. Loss of 3 here.
Ben Thomas, number 91, is the strongest man along the defensive wall for Auburn. He's part of a tandem of defensive tackles that has been so effective for them all year.
Second down, 13. Handoff to Caruth, and he's stopped by Williams. Those of you not familiar with Alabama geography, the little town of Auburn is in East Alabama, very close to the Georgia border. That's why when you see the hometowns of a lot of the Auburn players come up, you'll notice quite a few Georgians. Tuscaloosa, home of the University of Alabama, is in the western part of the state. I guess about 50 or 60 miles maybe from the Mississippi border. So it's West Alabama against East Alabama when these two teams get together. 3rd and 10. Shula under pressure, gets hit from behind and gets it off incomplete. Crowd wants grounding, some of the crowd, but they won't get it. He was trying to get it off and just got hit from behind.
Nate Hill, number 99, is the man applying the pressure here to Mike Shula as he comes up behind him. After being blocked, he comes back off the block, gets in, and pressures Shula from the backside.
Terry Sanders to punt. So the defenses have taken over after the game started with a very impressive drive for both teams. Each went 80 yards. Auburn on its first possession, Alabama on its second, but it's been defense since. High kick and not much distance, and a fair catch is called for and made at the 42-yard line by Trey Gaines with 5:23 to play in the half. Kick of 37 yards. We're tied 7-up. Gators, 3rd ranked in the country. They view themselves really as a bunch of renegades down in Florida. And what a year it's been, even though it ended with them being denied entry into the Sugar Bowl. Florida State, always a great battle. It's one of the newer rivalries in college football. I'm sure Keith and Frank will be talking about that. That one doesn't go back that many years, but it's pretty intense right now. 1st and 10 from the 43-yard line. And out to the 48 goes Bo Jackson. Stopped by Brent Stoll. Bo Jackson, not only a great football player, but a decathlon champ in high school. As a baseball player in high school, he stole 90 bases in 91 attempts during his career. He had 20 home runs one season, and he was drafted on the 2nd round by the New York Yankees in 1982. So Bo has a few options when his playing days at Auburn are over. 2nd down and 5. Near the line of scrimmage. Ricky Thomas moving outside, number 34, to stay with him.
And speaking of options, that was the triple option. Pitch that time to the trailing back, Hollis Campbell, number 38. Well played, though, by Alabama. They played it the way you should play the triple option. The 3-4 defense is effective against the triple option because with that many linebackers, you have a chance to string it out to the sideline.
You look at the phone numbers again for the should BYU be number 1 poll. It's a 50-cent call, remember. Delay, Agee, 1st down to the Alabama 45-yard line. Auburn moving with 4:01 remaining. 1st half. Rapidly played half as both teams have been staying on the ground. Auburn and Alabama 7-7.
That was the wishbone version of the old fullback draw play.
First and 10. Jackson looking for room, never finds any, and slips down at the line of scrimmage. So it'll be 2nd down and 10. By the way, some speculation as to Bo Jackson and will he play his senior year. We talked to him yesterday. He indicated that, yes, he does plan to come back.
Watch the foot right here. See the left foot? He slipped just as he tried to make his cut upfield. I don't think his injury or the time he spent away had anything to do with that particular slip. I think it was just a matter of planting the foot the wrong place at the wrong time.
2nd down and 10. Fake to Jackson, and Washington scrambling to his right, throwing back over the middle and picked off at the 28-yard line. Dave Valeto making the interception at the 28-yard line.
Pat Washington, number 10, play action, fake to Bo Jackson, rolls to his right. He's looking for a combination pattern between the tight end and the wide receiver. Now he throws downfield, and it's picked off by Dave Valeto, the third-string safety man there. He was looking for Jeff Parks.
2:56 to play in the half. And it's Auburn looking for that Sugar Bowl spot, tied with Alabama 7-7, and quite a difference going to the Sugar Bowl or the Liberty Bowl, which is where they'll wind up if they lose this one. Nebraska against Auburn or LSU, South Carolina, Oklahoma State. You get two top 10 teams in the Gator Bowl on the 28th. But in terms of money and exposure and the rest, Auburn would obviously prefer to be in New Orleans on New Year's night. They're tied with Alabama. The Tide has the ball at the 28-yard line, and it's Caruth who is stopped after a pickup of 1 as he takes it out to the 29. As we come down to the end of the first half, as far as the timeout situation is concerned, Alabama has all 3. Auburn has 2 left. Clock running, 2:35 to play in the half.
This would be an excellent opportunity for Alabama to take charge of this football game. After that key interception, they have relatively good field position. If they could march down and score, it would be a big boost for them.
Split back, 2nd down and 9 from the 29-yard line. Throw off, and it's Moore, and he's hit at the 30-yard line. He's met there by, among others, Ben McCurdy, number 52, applying the first hit.
You mentioned this a moment ago, but after 2 impressive drives, defense has really been the theme of this football game, and we thought it would be that way. We kind of thought we would have a close, hard-hitting, low-scoring game.
The Alabama defense, number 1 in the SEC, despite the poor overall season. Auburn just about in the middle, but the defense dominant in the second period on both sides. 3rd down and 8. Shula to put it up. Over the middle, too long, nearly intercepted, and they're forced to punt. Intended for Clay Whitehurst, and the clock stopped now with 1:35 remaining in the first half.
So Shula, after completing her first pass, has missed his last 2. He's now 1 of 3 in the passing department for 12 yards.
Terry Sanders, who came into the game averaging 39 yards a kick, has averaged 42.3 for his 3 kicks thus far today. Stands at the 15-yard line, kicking into a slight breeze. High spiraling kick, average distance, and fielded by Trey Gaines, a fair catch at the 27-yard line, a 43-yard punt. Let's spend a moment on the campus of the University of Alabama in Tuscaloosa. Legion Field in Birmingham. Al Michaels, Lee Groscup, Lynn Swan with you. Auburn 7, Alabama 7. 1:26 remaining in the half. Auburn with the ball. The Tigers have 2 timeouts remaining. Pretty much a run-oriented team, and a new quarterback, though, Mike Mann, who may be the better passer in this situation, perhaps Dye opting for Mann for that reason, and down he goes as he gets sacked at the 24-yard line. Kurt Jarvis coming in. Mann has seen a lot of action this year. Washington's been injured, and Mike has played in several games. He's 29 of 48 through the air, in fact, which is a pretty good percentage, 60%. Second down, 13. Clock is still running with under a minute now to play. And they keep it on the ground, and it's Jackson with a big hole past the 40, past the 50, and down to the 48-yard line. So the defense looking for the pass, and they give it to Jackson. Bo exploits a big hole, and Bennett runs him down, and Auburn is all the way down to the 48 of Alabama.
This has been Bo Jackson's most effective play. Crossfire action as he cuts back off the left side. And you see some of that 4-2 speed as he bursts into the secondary, blazing by a linebacker and finally run down by Cornelius Bennett.
28-yard pickup, man back to pass, nearly gets sacked again and throws incomplete, intended for Buford, with 28 seconds now remaining in the half. Larry Roberts, the linebacker, put the pressure on that time.
Larry Roberts, number 87, is the man applying the pressure to Mike Mann, the quarterback, number 17. And just as Mann starts to throw, Roberts is right there.
Now second down and 10. From the 48-yard line, Mann, a senior, who just rusted away on the bench through his career at Auburn until this year. Short drop. Swings one out to the 42-yard line, and Trey Gaines gets out of bounds. He's close to a first down. Marker is right at the 38-yard line. Clock is stopped now at 22 seconds remaining. And as we say, 2 timeouts left for Auburn, but they don't need to use one at the moment because the clock stopped as he went out of bounds, and also a first down. They spotted at the 37-yard line. And even with the clock stopped, they will still take a timeout here to discuss the next play or two.
Strange decision.
That's an interesting little call here. It leaves you with just one timeout, and you may have to use that for a field goal. But Dye has elected to take the timeout, even with the clock having been stopped, to discuss the next play, and certainly, I'm sure, the play after that as well.
I think it was a mistake. I noticed one of the assistant coaches along the sideline was expressing some discontent over the decision.
Pat Dye doesn't look like the happiest man in the world either, as they have left themselves with just one timeout.
Well, it could be a crucial time in the football game.
37-yard line. It could very well cost them a play. It cost them the distance needed to set up a field goal. McGinty is their field goal kicker. The freshman, as longest as 53 yards. Right now, if he had to kick, he'd have to kick 44. So you're talking about a 54-yard field goal at the moment.
So they need to penetrate a little bit more.
37-yard line. First and 10. Mann looks over the middle, and incomplete, intended for Kyle Collins. In and out of his hands. That play took 4 seconds. 18 ticks now remaining in the half. Freshman kicker Robert McGinty, the bespectacled one, is right there. Beat Mississippi State on a last-second field goal. Good kicker. Awaiting his turn. If Auburn can move it a little bit closer. Second down. Mann throwing, intended for Weigand on the near side, and that's incomplete. That took 3 seconds, and you've got 15 seconds now remaining in the half. Third down and 10. Game time 7-7.
Weigand, who has not caught a pass today, is their leading receiver and one of the premier receivers in the Southeast Conference. He's considered a possible future star, maybe a future All-American. He's compared often to Terry Beasley, man who caught so many passes from Heisman Trophy winner Pat Sullivan back 1969 through 1971.
He's wide to the left. He's been bothered with a hamstring pull. In fact, he missed their last game against Georgia 2 weeks ago. They try a draw play, and that doesn't fool anybody, as Tommy Agee is wrapped up at the 40-yard line with 9 seconds, and now they take a timeout. And their option here is to throw one into the end zone, or try at least to get into the end zone, or have McGinty attempt what would be a 57 or 58-yard field goal. Nine seconds remaining in a first half in which the offense was dominant on both sides through two very impressive drives in the first quarter. And the second quarter has been dominated by the defense. Pat Dye, who was an assistant coach at Alabama, went to school at Georgia, played there under Wally Butts. He was a guard. Started his head coaching career at East Carolina, had good success there. Then to Wyoming. He was very dedicated. We covered him when he was there to turning that program around, but I know that one of the things that he coveted was a position in the Southeastern Conference, and in particular at Auburn, had that job become available, and when it did, he had to jump at it. So it's 4th down from the 40-yard line, 4th and 13, as Mann goes back to pass, throws for Reagan, and it's complete at the 23-yard line, and they stop the clock at the 23 with 1 second remaining in the half.
That was a perfect play. Right exactly on the sideline. He was able to catch the ball, get the needed yardage, stop the clock. Now they have a chance for the field goal. Great call, great execution.
So McGinty from the 30-yard line as they fake the field goal attempt. And it's Mann throwing against the grain and incomplete on a wild ending to the first half intended for Middleton.
I don't think it was a fake. I think it was just a poor snap.
And also a penalty marker had been dropped. Ineligible receiver downfield, and that is refused. And that will officially end the first half. So a bizarre way for the half to come to an end as Auburn and Alabama are locked up. Let's go to Lynch Swan.
Coach Perkins, you had 2 weeks to prepare for this ball game. Are you doing anything differently?
Well, we're doing a few things differently, you know, but you got 2 weeks to work on it. I think both teams, anytime they have 2 weeks to prepare for something, they're going to throw in a couple new wrinkles.
All right, is your team playing more emotionally in this ball game than you played all year long?
Well, I'm not sure. You know, in spots we have, certainly on defense and offense, they've executed well. I think you've got 2 classic football teams. I think it's the greatest rivalry in the country. And, you know, it's this way every year. We knew it's going to be a dogfight, and that's exactly what it's been this half.
What will you tell your team in preparation for the second half?
I'm not sure I'm going to think about that going in.
Okay, Coach, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We'll be back with more in our halftime activities after a commercial and a word from our local stations.
7-7 our halftime score. First half, 2 very impressive drives early on, one by each team, and then the defense really took over in the second quarter, and they dominated. We're going to go back and look now, Lee Gross Cup, at that first touchdown. Bo Jackson capping an 80-yard drive in the first period.
Touchdown number 1 by Bo Jackson. He goes off the left side. This has been his big play. It's kind of a crossfire action. Follows right in behind some key blocking, and you see the strong surge that he makes right there. Paul on Caruth, the leading rusher for Alabama. They're very multiple with their formations. Here he lines up at the tailback position in the I formation. Now watch what he does right here. He runs right over Kevin Porter, number 3, reaches out with the ball there, and breaks the plane of the goal line for the touchdown. This is the last play of the first half. Now watch here. I think it was a poor snap from center, Al.
That was a low snap, and Mann,
you thought it was a fake field goal. I think it was just a low snap, and they improvised.
In any event, they had to snap it very quickly because the preceding play had not gotten out of bounds. They simply stopped the clock temporarily for the first down, then they got off the quick snap, and some injudicious use of timeouts by Auburn down at the end may have cost them the opportunity to set up. But let's go back to that first quarter. I know during the commercial after Auburn moved at will 80 yards, I think we kind of looked at each other and said this could be a rout for Auburn, but it's been anything but. Alabama very much in the game, obviously, and trying to be the spoiler today.
It looked originally like we might have a blowout, but now this first half has become very competitive, and I think we've got a classic SEC shootout.
Any major changes that you anticipate now strategically in the second half?
I don't think so. I think that you will not see any radical departure from the initial game plan on the part of either team.
Teams are about ready to come back on the field. The second half kickoff is imminent. Halftime score is Auburn 7, Alabama 7.
Pat Dye, head coach of Auburn. Coach, was that intended to be a fake field goal at the end of the half?
No, it was a bad snap. We had 1 second left on the clock, and because we got them out there and got them lined up, and when the official took his hand off the ball, our son snapped it. I don't think our son ever got a really good grip on the ball, but he had to snap it because we didn't have any more timeouts.
Alabama seems to be having their best success going into the middle of the line. Why is this?
Well, we just haven't played very well inside. They whipped us in there and run straight at us. And of course, a touchdown drive that they had, they broke tackles, and we weren't playing with the kind of intensity we got to play with.
You tell them anything special in the halftime?
Not really. We've just got to be more consistent on offense and continue playing like we played in the second quarter on defense.
Okay, Coach. Thank you very much. Okay, Al.
Thank you, Len. So 7-7 the halftime score, and Auburn to receive as we start the second half. Terry Sanders to kick off for Alabama. It's a gorgeous day at Legion Field. Bright sunshine, temperature near 60 degrees, and the second half is underway with a good kick by Sanders, deep enough so there'll be no run back. Auburn will work against this Alabama defense. Brent Soule is the left tackle, and then Kurt Jarvis is a good one. John Hand up among the team leaders in tackles. Randy Rockwell, one backer on the outside. Emmanuel King was the most heralded of the Bama backers, but Cornelius Bennett has stolen some of that thunder with a great year, and Wayne Davis is an up-and-coming sophomore. They did a very nice job collectively in the second quarter. Pat Washington back in at quarterback as we start the third quarter, and Bo Jackson starts by only getting back to the line of scrimmage. Second down and 10. Defensive backfield for Alabama comprised of Vernon Wilkerson, Freddie Robinson, and then Paul Tripoli from Liverpool, New York, the strong safety, wrapping up his career today, and Brenton Cooper is a sophomore. Pretty young team. Not many seniors. In fact, not many seniors on either team. When you look at Auburn in particular, next year in the preseason polls, they will probably be in everybody's top 5. That many guys come back. Washington throws, and a sliding catch is not made by Campbell at the 27-yard line. It's incomplete. Pat Washington, the quarterback, Jackson, Campbell, and Agee. Again, a lot of alternating and then wishbone alignment. And also a lot of alternating at the split end spot, and the men up front. Good offensive line for Auburn.
Good friend of ours right there.
Of yours, maybe. Third down and 10 from the 20-yard line. Jackson stopped at the 21. And so the Alabama defense picks right up in the third quarter where they left off in the second. And Auburn is forced to punt. Again, to set the importance of this game for you, if you tuned in late and don't know about it, Auburn needs a victory here to go to the Sugar Bowl, since Florida was declared ineligible for the conference championship. A loss would send LSU to the Sugar Bowl New Year's night against Nebraska. As Lewis Tolbert gets the kick away. High, deep, spiraling kick, and it backs Richardson all the way up to the 21-yard line, and he returns it to the 31. Alabama with its first possession upcoming now in the second half at the 31-yard line. Auburn defensively, Kevin Green is a senior, Gerald Williams a junior as you look at the line. Harold Hallman, excellent. Junior from Macon, Georgia. Ben Thomas, 6'3", 275-pound senior. John Daly has intercepted a couple of passes this year from his defensive end spot. Crimson Tide, first and 10 at the 31-yard line. Don Shula's son, Mike, the quarterback, and he starts with a pitch to Paul Otkaroof. Looking for room to the outside, nothing doing. Run down by Gerald Williams, number 98. Take a look at the linebackers. We've talked extensively about Greg Carr in the first half, and Ben Curdy flanks him. Then the secondary, and it's injury beleaguered with Robinson and Kevin Porter at the corners, Arthur Johnson and Matt Caesar, the safeties. They lost Tommy Powell with knee surgery. We talked about David King, a third-team All-America. They lost him 3 weeks ago. So they're shaking back there as Shula has room. Gets out past the 40 to 45 and turns it into a nice gain and a first down to the 47-yard line. He's run out of bounds by Kevin Porter, and Preston Gothard threw the block that enabled him to spring it.
Resourceful running here by quarterback Mike Shula. Play action fake, moves to his left. He's looking for one of his backs. Now watch what he does here. He makes a good cut, runs right by the linebacker there. Finally run out of bounds by Kevin Porter, number 3. 19 yards on that gainer for quarterback Mike Shula.
1st and 10 from the 48-yard line. Shula off 2 play fakes. Good protection. Complete to number 17, Greg Richardson, who was in motion on the play for another first down. Alabama on the move. Shula, the quarterback. He's gone all the way. Caruth and Moore have done the brunt of the ball carrying. Richardson made that last catch, and Payne on the other side. And there's the offensive line. The 5 interior linemen alternate. They really have 10 linemen, and they substitute with great frequency. They open up a big hole here for Caruth. Inside the 15, the 10, and he takes it to the 4-yard line. Arthur Johnson making the tackle. So the Alabama partisans are on their feet, and I imagine there's a little bit of cheering going on in Baton Rouge at this very moment as well.
Watch the gaping hole for Paul Ott-Caruth on a trap play off the left side. Good blocking up there with Neighbors and Condon. Sets Caruth free, and then you see his bullish power there along the sidelines. Finally run down by number 40, Arthur Johnson, inside the 5-yard line.
12 carries, 69 yards. 1st and goal, Alabama from the 5-yard line. Caruth again. Touchdown. The Crimson Tide come out, and they just take it to the Auburn defense to start the second half. And Alabama leads 13-7. 8th rushing touchdown of the season for number 16, Paul Ott-Caruth.
A play sometimes referred to as student body left. Paul Ott-Caruth with a lead block from Ricky Moore simply follows his blocking into the end zone. That is the 2nd touchdown of the day, his 8th touchdown of the year rushing.
Van Teppen's point after is good. And so Alabama, a 1-touchdown underdog, has the lead with 11:51 to play in the 3rd quarter. Crimson Tide on top, 14-7. ABC Sports, home of Super Bowl 19. Paul Ott-Caruth missed last year, knee injury. He's a 5th-year senior, wrapping up his career. It's an odd thing to watch a senior at Alabama end his career in the Auburn game, because this is a team that's been to a bowl game for 25 straight years. But not now. And Pat Dye knows his team is going to a bowl game, but right now they're headed toward Memphis, and he'd rather be headed toward New Orleans. That's the problem. 14-7 is the score. Alabama on top. Terry Sanders, who's been kicking it into the end zone with frequency from the 40-yard line. Slight breeze in his back. Gets another good one away. Fielded 4 yards in, and they're going to run it out. It's Fullwood, who was a terror in high school. He once ran back 3 kickoffs for touchdowns in one game, but he is stopped at the 14-yard line.
So Alabama, a 6-point underdog coming into today's game, now leads by 7. And as I said at the top of the show, I thought they would need to play with more consistency on offense and get some work out of their special units. They have done that. They have played with their usual consistency on defense.
First down from the 15-yard line. Bo Jackson tries to get something started and picks up close to 5. Vern Wilkinson making the tackle. A lot of of heat would be off Ray Perkins with just this one win. He's taken a tremendous amount of heat this year with the first losing season since '57 and no bowl game and just a lot of things that have combined to make it a very rough year for him. Alumni pressure, you can imagine when you've had that much success, but some of the onus, some of the sting would obviously be taken off with a victory today. Out to the 24, Collis Campbell, shy of a first down by, let's call it a yard, and a third down play upcoming. Third and 1 from the 24-yard line.
This defensive series could be a very important one for Alabama. They could stop them now with the momentum they have going offensively. It could turn the game around for them.
Third and 1. The money man is Jackson, and he is out to just about to strike the 25-yard line. Whether that's good enough for a first down or not, they may have to measure.
That's exactly what I was talking about. Right there. A great defensive effort which really gives the offense another shot in the arm.
No measurement necessary. He is shy by half a yard, and Auburn has to punt. Not only that, Lee, now Alabama gets the ball back. If they score again, the one offense you really don't want to be in when you're a couple of touchdowns down is the wishbone, the tough offense to come from behind with.
It has never been a come-from-behind offense.
Colbert's punt taken at the 22 by Richardson, and it's a 6-yard run back to the 28. And the ball, 9:41 to go, third quarter, 14-7 tie. Birmingham the site for this one, and Tallahassee upcoming, 3:30 Eastern time, Florida. And that's their bowl game since they're ineligible for the Sugar against Florida State. And a chance to see the Gators a couple of weeks back. Good team. Freshman quarterback, Kerwin Bell, Cliff Hunters, Lorenzo Hampton, John Williams, Neil Anderson at Tallahassee. Meanwhile, here, 14-7 Alabama, 28-yard line, first and 10 as they start this series. And it's Caruth. Look at those holes. The Alabama offensive line opening up huge holes here in the second half. To the 35-yard line goes Caruth.
One of the reasons we're seeing such big holes in the middle is because of the work of number 54, Wes Neighbors, right there as he drives his man backward. Greg Carr he's working on right there. Good effort by Wes Neighbors, son of Billy Neighbors, who I played against in the old All-American, the American Football League.
Daddy went to Alabama, played under Bryant from the 35-yard line. Moore has a first down as he takes it to the 39. First and 10, Gerald Williams and Harold Holman making the stop.
Wes Neighbors got to play the part of his father in the movie Bear. Now that movie has been recalled, but it's going to be re-released. So number 54, very briefly, he went Hollywood.
In that poll continuing, should BYU be rated number 1 by phone, and the no's have it at the moment by about a 5-to-4 ratio. First down, pitch it to Caruth, and a gain of 3 as he takes it to the 43-yard line, and it's Harold Holman again in on the tackle with Jonathan Robinson also coming up. Again in that BYU poll, if you weren't with us earlier, it cost you 50 cents. If you think BYU should be number 1, dial that number. No, you dial the other one. Rose Cup will give you his credit card number in the fourth period.
If you vote yes.
Second down. 2nd and 6 from the 44-yard line. This is Moore again, slithering his way over the right side of the 47-yard line. Gain of close to 3. It'll be 3rd and 2.
Well, I like BYU's brand of football, and I think that Lavelle Edwards is long overdue to get some of the credit that he deserves. And a number 1 rating would be terrific for him.
Only 1 game left for BYU, and that's the matchup against Michigan in the Holiday Bowl. 3rd down, 3rd and 2 from the 47-yard line. Good protection. Man open. First down as Richardson takes it into Auburn territory. He beat Jonathan Robinson on the play, and Alabama with another impressive march in the third period with 7:15 showing on the clock.
Mike Shula with the hot hand right now, throwing with good touch and timing, looking for number 17, the flanker Greg Richardson, on a crossing pattern. Richardson, the fastest man on the team, outruns Jonathan Robinson, number 32. Robinson finally catches him from behind near the sideline. Big play. Shula's 5 now, 44 yards, 14 yards on that last pickup.
And confidently directing them here in the second half, but right now Alabama wants to take a timeout. So they spend their first as Shula comes over to visit with Perkins at the 39-yard line. 7:15 to play, third quarter. Alabama leads Auburn by 7.
The man I'm standing next to right now is Bill Neighbors. His son Wes Neighbors is the center on the football team. Bill, what have you and your son talked about in reference to this ball game?
Well, this is a great state rivalry for Alabama, and we talked about it since he's 5 or 6 years old, about Auburn and Alabama, and hoping that Alabama could beat Auburn. And when we do, it's a great day, and when we lose, we just wait till the next year.
Your son playing well?
He's playing good, real good.
Okay, Al?
We can't dispute that. In fact, we had him isolated just a couple of plays ago. The man in the middle, number 54, Wes Neighbors, helping to clear those holes. And Alabama has marched down to the Auburn 39-yard line. They lead by 7. As we are halfway through the third quarter. First and 10 for the Crimson Tide. Caruth to the 35-yard line. Pretty clean game. Very few penalties today. I can't recall a fumble. No interceptions. Army is leading Navy 21-3.
What a turnaround from last year when we covered that game in Pasadena.
Navy rounded them. Army going to the Cherry Bowl this year. BC 17-10. Holy Cross makes a game of it at the half. And the big rivalry there. Georgia on top 3-0. Second down, 7 from the 35-yard line. Delay, Caruth, and that did not fool Kevin Green, who's having a pretty good day, number 90. One of the less heralded Auburn defensive people, but Kevin Green having a good day.
Kevin Green, number 90, the defensive end for Auburn, plays this perfectly, plays off the blocker, keeps a low center of gravity, comes right up to meet Paul Ott Caruth, number 16 there, before getting an assist from 2 other tacklers.
Kevin Green out of Anniston, Alabama. He's played exceptionally well of late. Walk-on in 1980, making his mark. And they discuss the penalty here.
I think it's going to be holding against the Tide.
Alabama's already marched back to its own 45 to regroup. The clock is stopped with 6:23 remaining in the third period. Ray Perkins watching his team end its season. What were the rumors this week? You know, there are always a lot of rumors the week of the Alabama-Auburn game. Normally started by the other side, and not necessarily in this case, though. But one of this week's rumors was that Perkins was out at Alabama, despite being in the second year of a 5-year contract, and on his way to Tampa Bay to replace John McKay. He has, I wouldn't say summarily denied it, but he has denied it.
Holding, offense, second down.
He has denied the veracity of the report, and pretty much expressed the other day that he felt it was something to take the attention of the Alabama players away from the Auburn game. Second down, 17 after the penalty from the 45-yard line. Moore takes the pass, breaks the tackle, fumbles the ball, and Auburn recovers but no, Alabama's got it. Alabama has it. It looked like there was no conceivable way the Tigers wouldn't come up with a football.
He may have stepped out of bounds before the fumble.
We'll take a peek.
Shula to Ricky Moore on an underneath route right there. Missed by Greg Carr. He cuts toward the sideline. Now, there's the fumble. No, he wasn't anywhere near the boundary. Arthur Johnson, number 40.
He fumbled it out of bounds.
That's it.
They had it, but they couldn't maintain or regain possession of it. 3rd and 13. Shula drops it over the middle. It's complete, but stopped shy of the first down is Preston Gothard. He was wrestled down by Greg Carr, and since Carr was the only man in the immediate area, what Carr did was stop Alabama from getting a first down. That's a big tackle right there.
Well, all of the activity on that last play resulted in a 3-yard gain.
And Van Tiffin comes in on 4th and 6. The ball will be spotted at the 42. That's a 52-yard kick, his longest of the season, 53 yards against Penn State. And he's 14 of 19. He is 1 of 3 from more than 50. The kick is up, and the kick is good. So another emotional burst for the Tide. On a 52-yard field goal after the drive bogs down, thanks mainly to a penalty, Tiffin makes it pay off for at least 3. 5:09 to play in the 3rd period.
Look at the reaction of Van Tiffin, the very accurate place kicker, number 3, when he sees it.
So with 5:09 to go in the 3rd period, Alabama now leads by 10. Van Tiffin, a 52-yard field goal earlier this year against Penn State, 53 yards. Great accuracy, good enough range, obviously. And the sophomore has just given Alabama a 10-point lead. Monday Night Football this week featuring the Bears, champions of the NFC Central, against San Diego at 9 Eastern time. 17-7 is the score. Auburn's only scoring coming on its first drive. The most impressive 80-yard march, but since then it's been Alabama's defense. And here in the second half, Alabama's offensive line opening up some holes. Kick is fielded by Brent Fullwood. He comes out from the corner of the end zone, and that's not a particularly judicious move because he didn't have much of an angle with which to work. To the 12-yard line he comes, and Auburn starts deep in its own territory.
So the Tigers a favorite in this game, now trailing by 10 points. And you mentioned earlier the wishbone, not the most ideal type of offense when you get into a come from behind posture. It's really the kind of offense you like to get out front, control the football with ball control running.
From the 13-yard line, Washington pitches it to Collis Campbell. He's wrapped up at the 14 after a gain of just 1. Cornelius Bennett making the tackle.
This may be the most talented sophomore linebacker in all of college football right here. Number 97, Cornelius Bennett. He has the size you like, 4.5 speed in the 40-yard dash, and remarkable instincts. He's already made the Football News All-America team as a sophomore.
Up to the 18-yard line as Pat Dye watches Bo Jackson set up an impending 3rd down and 6. If Auburn loses, they go to the Liberty Bowl. They would meet Arkansas at Memphis on December 27th, and it would also mean LSU would go to the Sugar Bowl New Year's night in New Orleans to take on Nebraska. 3rd down and 6 from the 18-yard line. Washington, protection starts to break down, and down he goes back at the 10-yard line, and everything going Alabama's way right now. Offensively, defensively, emotionally. Very evident throughout Legion Field. look around, and the clock ticks down with 3:25 to go in the third.
Are you trying to tell me the tide has turned?
Well, the tide has definitely turned. Lewis Colbert stands in his end zone, kicking into a very light breeze. Low snap, almost had it blocked, and it's a wobbly and very short kick, and a fair catch dropped, and loose at the 50-yard line, and recovered at the 46 by Alabama. Big break for the Crimson Tide, because that's the kind of play that really could have turned it around for Auburn.
Fumble right here as Greg Richardson, the return man, loses his concentration and the football. And it's covered there by Freddie Robinson, the free safety.
2:52 left in the third. Tied by 10. Jim, how much fun are they having in Provo when they look at those numbers? Be a lot of calls coming out of that Mountain Time Zone pretty soon.
That's right. We're playing catch-up football.
That's right. There are the numbers right there. If you want to vote, it's a 50-cent call. I know one thing. LSU is voting today, and they're voting very much in favor of Alabama because they'll be going to the Sugar Bowl if things remain as they are. Bama with the ball at the 47-yard line, and Ricky Moore is dropped for a loss by Gerald Williams, number 98.
If BYU is voted number 1 at the end of the season, of course, they'll go to the Kickoff Classic, probably play the number 2 team, and then their second game would be against the University of Washington in 1985. So that would give people a better chance to really evaluate whether or not they did deserve the number 1 rating.
Second down, 13 from the 44-yard line. And Caruth is wrapped up with also a penalty marker. Ben Thomas, 91, made the stop. Robert Aye is the official. And the options being discussed with Greg Carr.
Illegal use of the hands. Offense decline. Third down.
Greg Carr, number 54, is the type of linebacker you'd like to have at a football clinic. Now watch how he plays off the blocker, and the surge, the way he hits into the ball carrier right there. He had 128 tackles coming into today's game. And in one game we covered earlier this year, he made 18 against Florida.
Third and 12. This is an important play here for the Auburn defense. They're down by 10. They need to get the ball back. Shula throwing, man wide open, and a first down at the 36-yard line as he hits Thornton Chandler. The tight end got loose on a 3rd and 12, and Alabama has just watched Chandler make only his 2nd catch of the season.
Shula doing a great job here in the second half of throwing the high percentage or possession passes, steps forward in his pocket, finds number 81 Thornton Chandler. Shula was relatively nondescript in the first half, hot here in the second.
1st and 10 from the 36-yard line. They bring it back to the ground, give it to Caruth. He takes it to the 34-yard line where Greg Carr makes the tackle. This game started with a long drive on Auburn's first possession. They went 80 yards, and Jackson wrapped it up from the 2. Then Alabama came back, and they went 80, and Caruth went in from 6. It was 7-7 at the half. And then in the 3rd quarter, Caruth capped a drive with a 4-yard scoring run, and Tiffin kicked a 52-yard field goal to make it 17-7, and Alabama is threatening again. 2nd down, 8 from the 34-yard line. Draw to Caruth, and number 98 is right there. Gerald Williams having a nice day to make the tackle.
Now, to amplify on what I just said about Mike Shula, he was 1 for 3 in the first half, relatively nondescript, as I said. Now his numbers read 6 for 8, 73 yards, He had 19 yards on that last completion. More than that, he's showing a lot of leadership, a lot of poise, stepping forward in the pocket. He seems very much in charge out there.
Think of the bloodlines. Not only Dad, but his brother David was a pretty good football player.
I covered him.
3rd down and 8 from the 34-yard line. With Richardson having been in motion, a flag is down. Shula escapes and throws the ball away. A penalty marker, though, is down. And Shula is slightly shaken up, able to rise. He took a pop that time from Harold Hallman, number 94, in the ribs. And a marker is down, and that's Greg Carr again involved in the discussion for Auburn as he sifts over the option.
Shula straight drop back action here. The protection looks good initially, but number 40, Arthur Johnson, on a safety blitz, breaks through there, and then Harold Hallman finishes the job. Hallman, number 94.
Here's the call. Illegal use of the hands. Offense decline. 3rd down.
3rd down, and it's also the end of the quarter. Time has run out. So 3rd down is upcoming for Alabama when we start the 4th period. Time has expired here in the 3rd with a big upset in the making. So 15 minutes to go at Legion Field as they change ends. After 3, it's 17-7. Alabama. Start the 4th period. Al Michaels with Lee Grostuff and Lynn Swan. Legion Field, Birmingham. Upset in the making is Alabama. A 1-touchdown underdog, leads by 10. And Terry Sanders on 4th down in Auburn territory comes in to punt for Alabama. So he'll try to angle it as he takes the snap at the 50-yard line and pin Auburn deep. It's 4th down and 8. Aiming for the left coffin corner, and he won't get it. So it will come out to the 20-yard line, and the Tigers will take over there. And the Tigers have not scored since their first drive. First and 10 for the Auburn Tigers. Tiffin had already kicked, when you think about it, Lee, a 52-yard field goal. Had they attempted a field goal there, it would have been 53. They opted for the punt to try to pin him, but it turned out to not in their particular favor or benefit as Mike Mann comes in to replace Washington at quarterback. And it's A.G. moving it out to the 23-yard line. Let's check in with Lynn.
Well, I'm standing on the Alabama side of the stand, and this is all a part of the color and pageantry of college football. Everyone here felt that Alabama always had a great chance to win, but whatever the outcome, it's going to be a great finish, or as the Alabama fans have been saying all week long, give Auburn liberty or give them death. Al?
Roll Tide. That's been the cry heard at Legion Field today as Mann escapes, rolls, and turns a sack into a 2-yard gain out to the 25-yard line. But Pat Dye going to Mike Mann, probably, and it's debatable, the better passing quarterback. Washington seems to run the option better, has been the better runner, is their quarterback for next year. Mann is a senior, he'll be gone, but it's curious to note that Alabama's a team that's had a quarterback problem all year long. Should it be Sutton or Shula? But they've stuck with Shula all day long. And here's Auburn switching now in the final quarter of the regular season. 3rd and 5. Pitch it back to Jackson, and he can't turn the corner in time to pick up the 1st down, though he did get close as he stopped at the 29 by Dave Valletto.
You just made a good point. The scouting report on the game was that Auburn would have the edge in the quarterback department.
Penalty flag is thrown. And it's a motion call against the Tigers.
3rd quarter stats shows how Alabama has gradually taken charge of this game. In total yards now, they lead 241 to 185, and they continue to lead the game in time of possession. And we said at the top of the show, we felt that that would be a key statistic for them today because they want to keep the ball away from Auburn because of the Tigers' big play capabilities with Bo Jackson back in the lineup.
was a first down. It should be fourth down, 4th and 1. Auburn has just come up to the line. Now they change it. 4th down and 1, and they're going to gamble. With 13:32 to go in the game, they're going to go for it. Down by 10 points from the 29, and they have movement on the right side of the line. I think it was Jeff Lott, number 66, the right guard, who will cost them a 5-yard penalty. As you can see how delirious Alabama is.
Right guard Jeff Lott, number 66, is clearly offside here for the Tigers. That will be costly.
So you never know what would have happened. On 4th and 1, you go for it from the 29-yard line, and you take your chances, especially when you have a Bo Jackson back there. But on 4th and 6, it's a different story, and Lewis Colbert comes in to punt. Got a good day. 48-2 his average today. That's 9 yards per kick, better than his average for the season. From the 9, they'll kick it away with Richardson to receive for Alabama. Tide sets up the return. Richardson fields at the 35, spins away, and brings it back to the 40-yard line. Alabama has the ball back, and they maintain a 10-point lead with 13:22 left in the game. Amazing season. I mean, it's week after week. It's what can he do next? Throws touchdown passes to his brother. The miracle against the Hurricanes. Meanwhile, here in Legion Field, you saw the sign that said no sugar substitute.
No NutraSweet.
Well, there is. It's the Liberty Bowl, and that's where Auburn appears to be headed at the moment because Alabama leads by 10. They have the ball, and Caruth takes it out to the 46-yard line where he is stopped by Arthur Johnson.
So the Liberty is the sacrament.
Yep. You know, it's funny, though, just in visiting with some of the Auburn players yesterday, you got the feeling that it was truly more important to beat Alabama than to beat Alabama to get to the Sugar Bowl. In a way, they all know to get to the Sugar Bowl, they sort of backdoored their way in anyway because of Florida's ineligibility. 2nd down and 5. And it's Ricky Moore who takes it out to the 50-yard line. I mean, not that they wouldn't show up, but the fact of the matter is they do know that on the field, Florida won the conference title. The Gator Bowl is set, South Carolina against Oklahoma State, and we'll have that for you. And the Sugar Bowl, Nebraska is set. And no doubt many of the Cornhuskers are watching this one and scouting what they figure to be as their probable opponent in Auburn, but all of a sudden they may have to now turn their attention to films of LSU. 3rd and 1 from the 50-yard line. Caruth looking for the first down, and he is stopped at the 50. Appears to be shy of it. Ben Thomas and Jim Bone wrapped him up with 11:54 remaining in the game.
Well, I like what you said at the top of the show. We know that Tigers will be showing up at the Sugar Bowl. The question is, which Tigers?
Right. It looks right now it may very well be the Bayou Bengals of Bill Arndt Parker, who would wrap up his first year at Baton Rouge in a big way. They are that much shy of the first down. And Perkins will opt to send in the punting unit. The reaction is predictable. Every crowd in every stadium wants their team to go for it in like circumstances, but Perkins knows he has a 10-point lead, and if he doesn't make it, all of a sudden that could really shift things around. Meanwhile, if Sanders can pin Auburn deep, the Tigers are in a lot of trouble. High spinning kick, bouncing inside the 5 and going into the end zone and through. So out it comes again to the 20 for Auburn as they begin to run out of time. 11:24 to go. Second half of the doubleheader, a good one. Florida State from Tallahassee coming your way. Gators ranked 3rd in the country. Here, Alabama 17, Auburn 7, 11:24 to go, and Auburn with it's wishbone offense, down by 10. By the way, if you're thinking about a tie, if this game were to wind up in a tie, then the Sugar Bowl committee would select Nebraska's opponent. Option play with Washington back in, and that net's only a yard. Kurt Jarvis made the tackle, number 95, and there's another penalty. We had a penalty, basically a penalty-free first half, but a lot of flags now in the second half.
Auburn has been totally ineffective today running the triple option, which you figure is one of the key plays in the wishbone offense.
The play was a 1st and 10 play, and the options being discussed here with Washington, who has gone most of the way. Mann came in at the end of the first half, and then Mann was in for the last series. And now they go back to Washington again. And it's another penalty against Alabama, taking it out to the 25. Here comes the call.
Face mask, inadvertent, 5 yards.
On the option play, Washington starts to cut up field, and watch for number 87. It's number 87, Larry Roberts, grabbing him right there. He reaches over the shoulder and pulls him down by the face mask.
So it's 1st and 5 now from the 25-yard line, with Wagan setting up to the right. Washington back to pass, looking left, throws incomplete at the 32-yard line, intended for Ron Middleton. With that wishbone, Auburn, the wishbone, of course, tells you that the team doesn't pass a whole lot. Here they were in a passing situation. There are really only 2 men in the pattern. They sent Middleton out to the left, and they had Wagan split to the right, but he was well covered.
Number 87, Ron Middleton, the tight end, is sliding out toward the sideline. He was clear momentarily had this ball been thrown a little bit lower and to the inside. However, it was catchable.
2nd down, 5 from the 25. 10:54 to play in the game. Straight ahead, Tommy Agee. Gain of 1. It'll be 3rd and 4. And let's check in with Jim Lampley.
All right, here's the latest on the phone poll. No's still outdistancing yeses. Now it has been brought to our attention that perhaps a reason for that is telephone congestion in the state of Utah. People are having great difficulty getting through, so we've added 2 numbers. The top 2 numbers are for all the rest of you across the country. In Utah only, you must use the bottom 2 numbers there. You'll have a better chance of getting through. 720-0040 for yes, 720-0044 for no in Utah. Back to Birmingham.
And on 3rd down, Bo Jackson carries around the left side out past the 30 and a 1st down as Valletto makes the stop out at the 34-yard line.
I said earlier that this is the base play for Auburn in the wishbone. It's the power pitch to Bo Jackson, their halfback, brought down in the secondary by David Valletto, who had an interception earlier, a key play for the Tide. And that's been Bo's most effective running play along with the crossbar.
From the 37-yard line, Washington back to pass, throws incomplete. That 1st down, by the way, for Auburn was their first down of the second half. The defense has been that dominating for Alabama, and their offense has controlled the ball enough of the time. 10:03 to play in the game.
Good news for Bo Jackson fans. He has a 100-yard game today. 19 carries now for 101 yards. And I think he will come back as probably the leading candidate for the Heisman Trophy in 1985, just as he was in 1984.
He and Keith Byers.
Exactly.
2nd down and 10 from the 37-yard line. Kyle Collins takes it out to the 40-yard line. It'll be 3rd down and 7.
Auburn is going to need more of this. Look at the surge on the right side. Now, controlling and dominating the line of scrimmage is the key to any effective running game, and that's exactly what Auburn does here.
3rd and 7 9:25 left in the game. Pretty critical play here for Auburn as Washington pitches at the last minute. They get the first down, and it's Fullwood who gets out in front. Fullwood inside the 20, the 10, all the way for the touchdown. On a critical 3rd and 7, a play on which they were looking for the first down just to keep possession and avoid having Alabama take more time off the clock. They wind up scoring a touchdown, and all of a sudden, it's 17-13. Fullwood, who because of Jackson's injury saw a lot of playing time through the middle of the season and is their leading ground gainer, has just gone in for the score.
He had 564 yards coming into today's game, and he added 60 more with that touchdown carry. Watch how perfectly this is set up by quarterback Washington right here. Now he goes to the corner, then pitches. Number 22 cuts inside. Good block by Middleton. Now he cuts back inside. Juke step back to the outside, limp leg, and on into the end zone. Great block along the way by Steve Wilson, number 75.
You have a very interesting situation right now. Auburn took a timeout because you would think, okay, normally you go for the 1 point here, you got a lot of time, all right, then you kick the field goal maybe later on, and you settle for a tie. We mentioned before, if this game ends in a tie, we were talking to some of the Sugar Bowl people before the game. The committee is ready, and they would have the answer by tonight, but they would vote on the representative, be it LSU or Auburn, and I was talking to a couple of the fellas, and really couldn't get an indication as to which they thought would be the team. So now Dye, knowing this, has to figure, do I go for 2 here and try to win it with a field goal, go for 1 and settle for the tie, and they're going to go for 2.
He's going for the win.
That's why they took the timeout. So they go for 2, and it's Washington pitching it, and they get the 2 points because Jackson gets into the corner. So it's 17-15, and they set up what they hope will be a game-winning field goal down the line.
2 plays in a row, the timing has been perfect on the triple option, something that has been ineffective thus far. And Bo Jackson outruns David Valletto, the safety man, to the corner of the end zone.
So it's now 17-15 with 9:11 to play. I give Pat Dye a lot of credit right now. Pat Dye really thinking ahead, and nobody can accuse him of trying to back into anything, though people will contend if his team winds up in the Sugar Bowl, they backed in because of Florida's impending probation. But he thought about it, and I'm sure that had a lot to do with his decision right there to go for 2 points.
Gut check time.
Give the man some credit. He's not thinking about the tie, and he could have gotten away with it, too, with 9:11 to go. He can figure, well, I got enough time to score a touchdown, but he's thinking, well, what if? What if we only get 3 more points? Well, 3 more might send him to the Sugar Bowl. We'll find out. 9:11 to play, and the kick is taken in the end zone by Vaughns, and they'll bring it out to the 20-yard line.
And what if Alabama has another long time-consuming drive, which they did earlier? Good thinking. Gutsy.
But a lot of things to look back on in this half. Remember, they decided to punt at Alabama instead of maybe attempting another long field goal after Tiffin had already kicked one at 52. The punt went into the end zone. That last drive started from the 20. Big play by Fullwood, of course, the 60-yard run. And now it's very noisy on the Auburn side of Legion Field as Alabama starts to drive, and it's Caruth taking it out to the 22-yard line. This is a neutral site. Birmingham, 120 miles from Auburn and 60 from Tuscaloosa. Even though Alabama plays a lot of its home games, they have played a number of their home games, about half through the years here. But as far as the ticket allotment is concerned, half of the tickets go to Auburn, and the other half to Alabama for the annual confrontation. 2nd down and 8 from the 22. Shula's gone all the way at quarterback. Caruth again, who has scored twice, bunched up at the 21-yard line by the fired-up Auburn defense. Gerald Williams, 98, continues to have a good day, and Greg Carr helped out, 54.
Old Mo white jersey right now.
Thanks to Fullwood. Third and 9 from the 21-yard line. Clock is running. 8 minutes to go in the game. Alabama leading 17-15. Shula sending everybody in the pattern, and it's intercepted. Intercepted and taken down to the 17-yard line. Kevin Green. Another big play. Ricky Moore had it in his hands. It popped out, and Auburn is at the 17-yard line with a 1st and 10.
Shula with straight drop back protection here, moves forward in his pocket, looking for his fullback Ricky Moore, has the ball momentarily, bobbles it, it's picked off by Kevin Green, the defensive end, number 90, and now Auburn has opportune field position and could put this ball game away.
Tigers at the Crimson Tide 17-yard line. Jackson slips as he tried to get untracked, and there's no gain on the play. 7.5 minutes remaining, and has this one turned around in a big hurry. Fullwood went 60. They picked up 2 on the conversion. The interception now, and they're at the 17-yard line with it 2nd down and 10. Jackson coming off for the moment, over 100 yards on the day. Pat Washington calling the signals. The fake. And then he had trouble on the exchange as he tried to take it out of the grasp of Tommy Agee, and John Hand came in to make sure there was no advance.
That's right. He never got past his fullback to execute part 2 or 3 of the triple option.
3rd down, 10, 18-yard line. It's going to be pretty quiet right now at Baton Rouge, where there was a good deal of excitement, I'm sure, not too long ago, as the LSU players and staff look on. Auburn was down by 10, but they're only down by 2 now, and Washington's going to take a timeout. And that's the 2nd timeout they've used, so they're down to just 1 remaining. 6:25 left in the game. Alabama still on top precariously. Well, it is shaping up that way because Alabama is leading by only 2, Jim, but it's 3rd down and 11 upcoming for Auburn after that timeout. Ball at the 18-yard line. Pat Washington, the quarterback, out of the wishbone. It is Jackson breaking it inside the 10, down to the 4. And how many teams on 3rd and 11 are going to run? But when you have Bo Jackson in the backfield, you might as well take the chance. Shaken up is Cornelius Bennett, the linebacker. That would be a big loss. Bo Jackson.
What a remarkable comeback. He's continuing that comeback. Shoulder separation. Missed 6 weeks. Now regaining the speed, the strength, the power that has made him such an awesome performer. Watch how he runs right by and over number 97, the All-American Cornelius Bennett. Breaks another tackle there. 2nd effort, 3rd effort, 4th effort. This man is 6'2", 222 pounds, has 4.2 speed in the 40-yard dash. Now that does not compute.
You know, when you think about it, I'm trying to think back. When's the last time you saw a similar play, 3rd and 11, and watch what would be referred to generally as a straight run. Occasionally you might see a draw or some kind of gadget play on the ground, but almost every other time you're going to see a pass, but not with Jackson.
When you have a superstar in your backfield like that, it gives it a totally different dimension to your offense, because then you can do things like that on third and obvious pass situations.
Meanwhile, Bennett very slow in arising, and there's one of your key defensive people, man who earlier this week made the Football News All-America team, and he's a sophomore, so a great future for Cornelius Bennett. But for the moment, he comes out of the game as this one winds down. Florida and Florida State get ready to kick it off at 3:30 Eastern time. It is first down and goal from the 4. Auburn down by 2. Fullwood, who scored the touchdown earlier, there's a flag thrown, and he is pushed back from the 1-yard line. Got down inside the 2, and a penalty marker. Rory Turner in on the stop, and the penalty is against Auburn. It's really hurt him here in the second half, especially at this particular time. Instead of first and goal, or had there been no penalty, second down and goal from the 1-yard line, they'll be pushed back.
Frustration showing there on the face of Pat Dye, who has been involved with championships at all levels of competition, including the service. And in his college days, he was a co-captain with Fran Tarkenton at the University of Georgia back in 1960.
Holding offense.
And from the spot of the foul, it takes the ball back to the 11-yard line. Makes it first and goal from the 11. Clock is running, 5:49, 5:48, and counting down. They break the bone, send Jackson in motion, and give it to Fullwood. On a counter play, he takes it only down to the 10-yard line. Gain of a yard, maybe 2. Second and goal.
Well, they told me this was an intense rivalry, and they were right. This game has been everything that I could have asked for. As I said at the top, it's my first experience, direct experience of Auburn, Alabama football.
Odd game with the way it's shifted. The flow of this one is gone. Second down and goal. Washington pitches it to Fullwood, and he is wrapped up at the line of scrimmage.
Good job by the Tide of stringing out the option play there. Scott McCray, the linebacker, was the man who made the big play. From the end zone, a different look. The pitch there to Brent Fullwood, number 22, who had that 60-yard touchdown. But right there to meet him is linebacker Scott McCray, number 45, who's been playing behind Wayne Davis. He had been a starter earlier in the season. He's now replaced Cornelius Bennett.
Third down and goal, 4:25 remaining in the game from the 10-yard line. Washington keeps it and gets to the 1-yard line. So now it's 4th and goal, and Pat Dye has to make the decision. Do you go for what figures to be the sure field goal and go up by a point, or do you try for the touchdown? That's his decision right now.
I think I'm going for the sure field goal.
I do too, with all that's at stake for him right now. 4th down goal. Inside the 1-yard line. Bennett has come back in defensively, and Dye has elected to go for it, to go for the touchdown. So the critical play of the game right here. On 4th down and goal, it's Fullwood, and he is stopped. And will they talk about that play for years? With 3:27 to go in the game, Rory Turner ran him out of bounds, and that will be forever ingrained in the lore of this rivalry. If this final score doesn't change, they'll be talking about that from now to the year 2020 in Birmingham.
Absolutely. Crossfire action. Brent Fullwood, number 22, trying to get to the corner. And Rory Turner, with perfect position from his safety position, comes up to force him to the boundary and the takedown. And just as you said, that's got to be one of the most controversial calls in the history of this series.
Unbelievable. Alabama with the ball, and they're going to just try to use up the clock. What they need are first downs as Ford takes it out to the 7. No mystery here. They have to stay on the ground, and what they really need are about 2 first downs. If they can get 2 first downs on the ground, they should be able to run the clock out. Auburn only has 1 timeout left.
And it's so uncharacteristic of that man, Pat Dye, who is such a fundamentalist, essentially very conservative. You figure he has moved the ball all the way down there. All he needs is a field goal, and what would certainly be, you would think, a sure field goal to win it. Why did he call a 4th down play like that? I don't understand it.
I have a feeling that just might be the first question asked after the game. On 2nd down, it's Ricky Moore taking it out close to the 11, and a very big 3rd and 3 is coming up as you look at Ray Perkins. What's truly amazingly is that what Dye did before was he set up the game-winning field goal by opting for the 2-point conversion. So he got to the position where he could manifest exactly what it was that he did and didn't take advantage of it. But I guess when you're inside the 1, you figure you can put it in.
It's still one of the most unbelievable calls that I have seen in all of the years that I have been covering college football on television for ABC.
And not only that, you don't give it to a Bo Jackson. Then again, you can figure, well, maybe Dye thinks they're going to key on Bo, so give it to Fullwood. Well, it didn't work. 3rd down and 3 for Alabama. This is a crucial play for the Auburn defense, and Alabama takes a timeout. 2:01 to play in the game. It's been a wild one with Alabama leading by 2. 2:01 remaining. If Alabama can pick up a first down on this play, it's possible they can run the clock out. Auburn must stop them. It's 3rd down and 3. Alabama has it. We're going to go back very briefly. Here's that 4th down play again. You can see Bo Jackson was in the game, 34. He goes left, Fullwood goes right.
A play that may possibly live in infamy for Auburn.
3rd down and 3 from the 11. Alabama split backs, Caruth and Moore, and Shula's going to throw. On 3rd and 3, incomplete. He attempted to hit Preston Gothard, the tight end. And so Auburn's going to get the ball back. So the Tigers will try to get off the hook. They certainly have the time remaining. Funny, when you look back at 1982, if you follow this series, Auburn won that game 23-22 when Bo Jackson scored the controversial touchdown. Controversial in the sense that some people didn't think he crossed the plane of the goal line on a 4th and 1 late in the game. Today they opt for Fullwood. He can't score, but they're going to get the ball back as Terry Sanders kicks out of the end zone. High, pretty good distance, fielded at the 43-yard line by Venus, dropped at the 44. Rory Turner makes the stop, 46-yard kick. Auburn has the ball with 1:45 remaining in the game and 1 timeout. Alabama leading it by a score of 17-15. Auburn has it at the 44-yard line. Each team with 1 timeout remaining. Robert McGinty is a freshman. He academically is a sophomore. He redshirted last year, comes out of Florida. He's used to pressure. He kicked the field goal at the end of the game to beat Mississippi State. It may come down to his foot for the Sugar Bowl. It's Agee who takes it out to the 48-yard line. As far as McGinty is concerned, what's his range? Well, his longest kick this season, 53 yards against Cincinnati. So that would be if you move the ball to the 36-yard line. You'd spot it at the 43. We have movement in the line, and we have 5 flags. Left side of the Auburn line appeared to jump first, and that is the initial indication. Illegal procedure against the Tigers with 1:21 to go in the game.
That's one of the reasons the wishbone is not as effective for hurry-up football, because you figure they're going to run, the surge is going forward instead of those linemen backing up to pass.
Dead ball foul. Illegal procedure. Offense broke the play. First down.
Well, he said first down, but it's second down. They've already run a play. Second down and 11. At the 43-yard line. Washington back to throw. Gets blindsided. Stuffed at the 38. Randy Rockwell, number 57, a freshman. And the clock keeps running. Under a minute now.
Weak linebacker Randy Rockwell, number 57, comes on the backside, applies the pressure right there. The quarterback, Washington, and down he goes.
Third down and 15. Back to throw, over the middle, completes it to Fullwood. He gets over the 50, takes it to the 49, and you've got 4th and 2 coming up. And you've got Auburn also taking a timeout as well, with 4th and 2 coming up and 33 seconds remaining. What this timeout also means is, even if they pick up the first down, somewhere down the line, they're going to still have to figure out a way to stop that clock to set up a field goal. But first things first, and Dye needs to take the timeout to discuss the play of the year right now for Auburn. 4th down, 2 yards to go. Seconds, and now no timeouts remaining. Prudential College scoreboard will follow, and then Florida against Florida State, the second half. LSU looking on, I would imagine, with more than detached interest at this particular point. The Sugar Bowl people looking on with a little bit more than detached interest.
No detachment there.
If, again, the situation, if Auburn wins the game, they go to the Sugar. They lose the game, they go to the Liberty Bowl. If they lose the game, LSU goes to the Sugar to face Nebraska on New Year's night. All right, Washington has the play from Dye. 4th down. It's a short 2. It's about 1.5 yards. Just inside the 48-yard line. No timeouts left. They send Weigand wide to the left. He's the only man who split. They seek the first down with Jackson, and Jackson gets to the 45. He has the first down. That stops the clock temporarily, but as soon as the referee signals it's ready for play, the clock starts again. So momentarily it stopped for 28 seconds. No time for a huddle. As soon as the arm of Bob Aye goes in motion, the clock will start. And it's ticking down now. 25-24. Washington back to pass on first down. Incomplete. That stops the clock. Pressure put on by John Hand, number 78, who came roaring in. 20 seconds to play in the game.
Big John Hand, who has made plays for them like that for the last 2 or 3 years. We talked about his size, 6'7", 275. Probably an All-American in 1985.
45-yard line. Second down and 10. This time, Fullwood and Weigand are both split to the right, and Gaines is sent to the left. Washington gets good protection. Looks Gaines' way. Has him. He gets out of bounds at the 25, and all of a sudden, they're back in field goal range. At the 25-yard line, it's Trey Gaines with 14 seconds. Now, if you're Pat Dye, do you go for it now, or do you try one more play and try to get the man out of bounds? Because what's going to happen is if you complete a pass over the middle, you might not have a chance to get a man in with no timeouts. Now they opt for McGinty. What a wild one this has been. Robert McGinty, 42-yard attempt and an angle. Snap is good. The kick is long enough, but it's wide. clock says 9 seconds. There are flags down for a penalty after the play against Alabama because the celebration went on. So many of the Crimson Tide ran out onto the field. There was a heart-stopping moment for some Alabama partisans when they started to look at the flags and thought that it may deal with offside.
Alabama, end zone celebration. End zone celebration, that's it.
It's an after the fact, but for just a moment you could sense some of the Bama people feeling that the penalty may have taken place beforehand. Meanwhile, the reaction of McGinty speaks for itself.
I think he knew right away he'd missed it. I think he stepped too far forward with his left foot, and he undercut the ball. As a result, he hooked it. Mike Mann is the man consoling him right there. And then you see the countenance of Pat Dye.
Pat Dye will live with this one for a long time. He did get a second chance to win it. But still, the big question afterwards will be, why didn't you attempt the field goal early on
when you had the ball at the 1-yard line?
And you weren't sure you were ever going to get it back at that point. So Alabama can just run one play and celebrate. And Alabama finishes with its first losing season since 1957. But it's not going to be a bad winter for the Crimson Tide partisans because they have just pulled off a stunning upset and denied Auburn a trip to the Sugar Bowl. McGinty, who reached the heights against Mississippi State a month ago with a game-ending field goal. We got another penalty, and that has stopped the clock with 6 seconds against Alabama. And McGinty reaching the depths today with a chance to win the game and hooking it. Ray Perkins in what has been, on balance, a pretty dismal year, especially with a team as tradition-rich as Alabama, will at least close it with a dramatic victory. And one to be discussed and discussed over and over and over for a long time in the state of Alabama. The Crimson Tide has won it. Alabama finishes 5-6. Auburn goes 8-4. They'll play Arkansas in the Liberty Bowl. LSU, Nebraska to the Sugar Bowl.
Well, it was pretty much of a textbook game plan. The things that I said at the top of the show were in evidence for Alabama.
Let's go to Lynn Swan. Lynn?
Coach, everyone wants to know what your thinking was when you didn't go for the field goal and try for the touchdown.
We had, with the ball sitting at that point on the hash mark, with about 2 feet to go for a touchdown, our chance to make a touchdown just as good as was a field goal. And plus the fact, a field goal would have put us, 1 point up, and a touchdown would have put us 6 points up, and then taking more than a field goal to beat us.
Forcing them to go for the field goal. Did the success of that conversion going for 2 points?
I thought we'd get the ball back, you know, like we did to get back in field goal range.
When you went for the conversion to 2 points after scoring your touchdown, that kind of success gives you a little more confidence going for the play?
I think you know, they had just dominated us and shut us down so much with that defense shut our offense down so in the third quarter that, you know, the long run kind of gave us all a little hope. And of course, after that, we get the turnover and the interception and should have got it in. We have a holding penalty and whatever, but Alabama deserves all the credit in the world. Coach Perkins and his staff, the players, they played hard. They had a great plan, did what they had to do to win the game, and we didn't. And that's football, and that's life. And we're disappointed, but we'll come back against Arkansas or whoever in the Liberty Bowl.
Thank you, Coach. Thank you. Good effort.
Al? Thank you, Lynn. You know, we don't want to get gushy, but, you know, we've been around, Lee, you and I, long enough to know there aren't too many coaches in college football who would have stood on the sidelines for that interview at that moment. And to dive, just for being there, a lot of credit.
Absolutely.
Anyway, he's still going to get second guess from here to Kingdom Come as we take a look at an exuberant Mike Shula, the quarterback for Alabama. Now here's that fourth down play again.
Brent Fullwood on a misdirection pitch. And watch Rory Turner, number 37, force him to the boundary in what's going to be one of the most controversial plays in Southeast Conference history. The final missed field goal. Look at the left foot. He steps too far forward with his left foot. As a result, he hooks, he misses. Frustration, consolation by man the holder.
George Hill, Kelly Hayes up here. Thank you, guys. A great job, as always, today and through the year. Final score, Alabama 17, Auburn 15. We'll be back.
Gift.
Kirk Gowdy producing. Larry Cam directing our coverage today from Legion Field in Birmingham, where the Alabama partisans go home in a celebratory mood as they won a wild one, a dramatic 17-15 victory, denying Auburn a spot in the Sugar Bowl. Al Michaels, Lee Grosstuff, Lynn Swan saying so long from Birmingham. And this ABC Sports exclusive has been brought to you by your local BMW dealer. BMW, the ultimate driving machine. By Prestone 2 Antifreeze. America goes with Prestone. By Zenith Advanced System 3, the smart sets. The quality goes in before the name goes on. And by GMAC, the financing people from General Motors. Stay tuned for the college football scoreboard show, and then join us for the second half of our CFA doubleheader. Florida taking on Florida State. Travel arrangements made through and a promotional fee paid by United Airlines. United